Yes.
King of outsourcing. So tell me a little bit about the very first thing that you would suggest people outsource.
Well, I think the very first thing we outsourced was like accounting and things that we didn't really know about. And I'm glad we outsourced that stuff because we never really like had to learn it and waste any time doing it. I mean, we did our bookkeeping for a long time so that we knew what our numbers were, but we never filed our own taxes for our business. So I think you can get rid of things like that professionals are easy to find. You just Google accountants, you'll find 50 in your neighborhood. So find somebody that you can trust and outsource like that. But I think the biggest one that changed our studio the most was outsourcing our editing and retouching. By taking that off of our plate so that Allison or I didn't have to do it, and it could be done by somebody that specializes in that, was huge for us. Because we take our pictures, we send them off to them after they order, and it's done. I just think that amount of, and I'll tell you how we decided, like it was one of those things that Allison didn't really like doing, and like every fall during senior season she would like be in tears one night because she was so stressed out, and so it was like something has to go, and so we decided that she liked that the least, and we actually tracked it for a while and tracked everything that she was doing. So when she did something, she had to write it down on a piece of paper, and so we had a log of everything she did. And a few things we realized is that she was doing a lot of retouching after hours that was just draining her, and it was always on the list, and also that she was opening her email way too many times during the day, but that's okay. Like that's something we all need to work on, is just distractions. But what we found is 60% of her day was going to editing. So by handing that off to somebody, we had 60% of her time back. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
That's interesting because that's actually not the first thing that we outsourced. So, so you and I are a little different there.
Yeah. Well, I think as long as
it's cool.
As long as you clean up your plate.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we cleaned up our plate by outsourcing customer service and packaging.
Okay.
Because that was things that were nitpicky and time consuming, but also were very easily trainable to somebody else, where I know editing was a little harder to let go of.
Yeah.
Because, we have a distinctive look and style that
Sure.
we needed to make sure was consistent. So for us, it was easier to, give up that little chunk and find somebody,
Right.
Relatively inexpensively that could come in, do all of our quality control, write thank you notes, make, customer care calls, things like that, clean the studio, things like that. Right. So we outsourced that first, but editing came next.
Right. And then, I think as long as you can focus on what you think you're really good at and leverage your strengths, it doesn't really kind of matter what you outsource. But I don't think you don't have to do everything. You don't have to be an expert at everything. I mean, I know, you can outsource like your marketing stuff. I know your husband Tim does an amazing job of marketing for companies and stuff. So I mean, you pick what you don't like to do that somebody else can do better. And I just think focus on your strengths.
So what would your advice be for somebody that is having a hard time letting go of control?
I think it's just try it. Like just let go just for a short period of time during your slow time. Pick a couple clients, call a couple clients that you feel comfortable with, that maybe you can kind of experiment with, and they don't necessarily know you are, but if your timeline runs long or something like that, it's okay, and just try it. And I think once you let certain things go, like editing, you may not ever want to go back to it. Or if you outsource your marketing and your phone rings and they're like, hey, I saw your Facebook ad, and you didn't create it, it doesn't take very long for you to realize somebody else can do it for you. So I guess my advice would just be try it in your slow time.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I first started training, I guess we don't actually outsource our editing because I have an editing staff now.
Right.
But for me, that's taking it off my plate and putting it on somebody else's.
Yes.
And when I first started doing that, I was really nervous because I felt like I was hovering over them, like trying to teach them what it was that I did. And I distinctly remember going through a session, and I hadn't looked at it before, and I pulled it up, and there was a couple, and I was like, whoa, what? I would have never made that editing choice.
Uh-huh.
And we went through, the thing, and the client was like, I love that, and they ordered it, and I was like, oh, I couldn't even believe it. And then, now it's like out of 100 images, there might be one or two that, it's not the choice I would have made.
Yeah.
But it's okay because it's done, and the client might order it, or they might just be like, nope.
Yeah.
And move on, because there's so many other beautiful
and that's
ones.
true with like when you stylize an image too. Like they could just throw it out. It's not any different. It's just that I don't know. You didn't.
It wasn't my choice.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think during the slow time, really, instead of redoing your pricing for the 12th time, like or redoing your PDF that has your pricing in it, because that's something you can do. Just try some outsourcing for sure.
Sounds good.